Over the past week, I witnessed the Ghiblification of the internet, just like you did. And it wasn't platform specific, it was on LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, and even on Substack. I didn't have to look closely to understand that there were sort of two teams forming, one that's for AI and the other that's against it. And this video is an exploration of why it is so. The first team, and this is a generalization, consists of studio heads, agency owners, tech founders, and people who run creative businesses. They are showrunners and entrepreneurs. They find gaps in the market and fill it creatively. Let's call them Team A. Team B consists mostly of people who draw or design for a living. They are people who spent decades trying to find a style or a voice through repetitive practice and found opportunities to make a living through the act of drawing or designing. Team A and Team B have been working together for centuries. For example, the Catholic Church, Team A, commissioned Michelangelo, Team B, to paint the ceilings of the Sistine Chapel. You could say that Team A is the reason that Team B has jobs. One of the main quests of a company is to stay profitable. The more profitable, the better. So they are inclined to find efficient ways to produce so they can be as profitable as possible while developing a product or a service that is satisfactory to them. That is why they go artist hunting to balance quality and cost. For a company, an artist is cost of production. So when you see a clear opportunity to cut costs, why would you not take it? From the POV of a founder or a studio head, adopting AI-generated images seems like an obvious choice. Good artists are really expensive, so there's no reason for Team A to not use AI when they can do it at the fraction of the cost of hiring a Danny. This is why I think they are pro-AI. But what about ethics, you ask? I'll answer that question later in this video. How do artists become artists? I'm talking about a very specific kind of artist, somebody who draws for a living. So concept artists, illustrators, comic artists, character designers, etc. Most artists, when they are young, don't have the capacity to recollect and draw from memory. So they reference books, magazines, comics, etc. They learn by copying. They copy what they see. They learn anatomy, staging, color, composition, etc. And once they learn all these rules, they break the rules to find their own style. Artists learn by referencing other artists. It's an accepted practice. It's an ecosystem of artists learning from each other. So copying in itself is not what artists have a problem with. The problem is that now a robot has learned everything that you need to know about every artist who ever lived and has also learned to mimic all of their art styles. And because this can be done simultaneously at the fraction of a cost, the ecosystem of artists learning from each other is beginning to wither away. They probably will lose their way of life, their routine, and their process. This is why I think Team B is anti-AI. Artists have worked too hard and too long to be able to do what they do now. They care about line work, brush work, continuity of time, continuity of style, and AI doesn't seem to get any of this right? Let's say right now we are in the early 1900s and we plot the skill set of all the artists on a spectrum. At the bottom we have amateur artists with amateur skill sets, and on the top we have amazing artists with extremely high skill sets. Now, towards the end of the century, eventually when digital tools came along, it sort of made the spectrum irrelevant because now the world, at least the commercial world, wanted digital art because producing digital art was faster and cheaper. So you could fall anywhere on the spectrum and it did not matter because now you didn't have to know how to mix paint and you didn't have to understand oils and acrylics and the difference between mediums. It created a new ecosystem of digital artists and the skill set required was entirely different. Let's cut to present day and do this exercise all over again. Let's plot the digital artists on a spectrum. At the bottom we have amateur digital artists who produce relatively simple stuff, and on the top we have amazing digital artists who produce extremely high fidelity images. And now AI has come along, so there may come a time when the commercial world wants just AI images because producing AI images has gotten much faster and cheaper. So it wouldn't matter where you fall on the spectrum because the skill sets required to create AI images is different. You don't have to know how anatomy works or how lighting works or even how to hold a stylus. So this may create a new ecosystem of AI artists or producers, and the skill sets required will be way different, which will make the spectrum irrelevant. What I'm trying to say is what's happening now may have happened multiple times in the past within different industries. And this may also happen in the future. There may come a time in the future where a new technology takes over, and it wouldn't matter how bad or good you are at prompting. So the people trading in AI imagery, both buyers and sellers alike, seem to have poor tastes. They seem to be okay with the poor quality, the lack of continuity between frames, the squinty eyes, 7 fingers on one hand, etc. While that may or may not be true, the fact is that members of Team A are the early adopters of a technology that might lead to a permanent change in the way we produce and consume art. In fact, the next generation of kids are going to interact with ChatGPT and Midjourney to produce art before they can pick up a pencil or paper. The apps are going to get better for sure, but also the tastes of the people interacting with this medium is going to improve as they grow up. And ultimately, what they produce is going to look way better in the future. I stumbled upon this Instagram page called Orange Cat. It's an animated micro series about a bunch of cats that live somewhere in the Middle East, I guess. And it's completely AI generated. The videos, although sloppy in many aspects, have a very large viewership, and to be completely honest, it did make me chuckle. And I thought to myself, this show is going to be part of some kid's childhood, and they're going to hold it with the same amount of high regard that we hold the Roadrunner show. So technology making skill sets irrelevant has happened multiple times in the past, but something is different this time. There are some artists who stay out of this process entirely. They are at the very top of their game, and what they do transcends time and medium. To them, it doesn't matter what the latest technology is or what the most efficient way to produce is. Their work is timeless and it moves people and culture. Some examples are Norman Rockwell, RJ, Kim Jong-il, and Miyazaki. If you are as old as me, you would remember that is 3D gonna kill 2D animation was a hot debate through the 90s. It seems like Miyazaki and his team did not budge, although they found masterful ways to incorporate 3D into some of their sequences. His work got the entire world to care about the planet that we live in and also about Japan and its culture. Remember I mentioned the ecosystem of artists learning from each other? Miyazaki is a spiritual godfather to many artists around the world. He's inspired thousands of artists to dream and create. And then this internet scraping robot comes along and takes his work and essentially turns it into a Snapchat filter without his permission. When a human relates to a piece of art, it is more than the piece itself. It's also about the creator. It is an insight into the unique way that the creator thinks. It is also a display of their superior skill set. What art is what it represents. And what AI art represents to most people in Team B is theft. Every AI image is a representation of how it was created under 5 seconds by an app that stole the work of all the artists who were naive enough to upload their work on the internet. Team A and the general public are oblivious to this fact. To Team A, AI is opportunity. To Team B, it is betrayal. Is all of this fair? Isn't this theft? Wasn't all of this built on the backs of Team B? From what I have observed, at least, companies, they don't act based on ethics. They act in accordance with the law. If they can get away with something, they will. And I think that's how most humans function too, me included. So until somebody mandates them to not use AI images, they're not going to stop. But I think that's very unlikely to happen. I think I'm in Team A sharp, which is also B flat. I detest the fact that what we created was used to train AI without our permission. But I also enjoy using ChatGPT extensively because I can ask ChatGPT for concise answers instead of going through a bunch of articles that are either behind a paywall or are constantly interrupted by irrelevant ads. I'm sure bloggers are mad that OpenAI scraped their content that they carefully researched and put together. But on a macro level, let's forget we are artists or entrepreneurs. The internet has never been a fair place. What we give to the internet has always come back to bite us in the back. Our credit card information gets stolen all the time. Our phone numbers get stolen, and we get bombarded with scam calls. Our browsing data gets used by corporations to sell us ads and then products. And now AI is just one more way our stuff gets taken from us to be used against us. Can Team A, Team B, and Team B flat coexist? Does that sound good? Not really. But I think that's how it's going to be. I shall now leave you with a quote that has sort of changed the way I look at life.